I am reading this article from my blog, link in the description. How to pray in tongues for long hours. Praying in tongues for long hours is a good practice, but just like other good practices, it has a price tag. Speaking in tongues for long hours guarantees you many benefits. Some people claim that praying for hours is not necessary, but I'm sure they have never experienced the benefits of praying in tongues for hours. Over the years, I have practiced the gift of praying in tongues, and every minute of doing it is worth it. In this article, I have tips that will help you pray in tongues for hours. Tips to pray in tongues for long hours. 1. Know Jesus. Praying in tongues is a conversation. If you want to pray in tongues for long hours, then you must apply the same principles that prolong a conversation. There is no reason that prolongs a conversation more than intimacy. If you know someone deeply, you can hold a long conversation with him without getting tired. Speaking in tongues is a conversation with God. The deeper you know God, the easier it will be for you to speak in tongues for long hours. Since God is mysterious, the only way we can know him is through Jesus. Our human understanding can understand Jesus because he lived on earth as we do. By understanding Jesus, we understand God too, since Jesus and God the Father are one. Praying in tongues for hours is easier if you approach it as a conversation with Jesus rather than babbling unknown words. 2. Praying in tongues for hours happens naturally when you are in distress. Praying is an act that we do when we are in trouble or just about to get into trouble. If you have the gift of speaking in tongues, you will naturally feel an urge to pray for long in the Spirit if you are in trouble. The Bible tells us that Jesus prayed earnestly when he was in the Garden of Gethsemane, that his sweat turned into blood. Jesus was in great distress at that time. Praying for long hours came naturally to him. Prayer gives us peace, and the level of distress directly reflects the urgency of our prayer. This means that you have to cultivate an urgency that helps you pray in tongues for long hours. The world we live in is full of trouble. The Bible tells us in the book of Job that man born of woman is of few days and full of trouble. There is always an urgency to pray. We only have to understand our situation. Once you know how vulnerable you are, praying in tongues for long hours will become second nature. I have found this to be true in my own life. The more hopeless I feel about life, the deeper I launch into speaking in tongues. Speaking in tongues has become my therapy. I do it until I feel better. 3. Pray alongside others. If you want to speak in tongues for long hours, do it with other believers. There are believers who can speak in tongues for hours on their own, but that takes a lot of time and practice. When you are starting out, praying alongside other believers will help you push for long. I usually record sessions of speaking in tongues on YouTube. I do these sessions to help other believers pray in tongues for long. If you need motivation to pray in tongues for long hours, you can listen to the sessions or any other speaking in tongues video. Being in a charged environment makes it easy to pray. When you feel tired, you keep going because others are still doing it. I learned to speak in tongues for long from the prayer night vigils I used to attend shortly after receiving the gift of praying in tongues. We used to pray from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. Sometimes we would share the word, but it was mostly praying. 4. To pray in tongues for hours, be in a comfortable position. Praying is partly a physical exercise. If you are not physically fit, you will get tired along the way. Speaking in tongues consumes a lot of energy. This is why if you want to pray in tongues for long, you have to manage your energy levels well. I usually advocate for people to be in their most comfortable positions. It is only in your comfortable position that you'll be able to speak in tongues for long. If you prefer sitting, then sit. If you prefer standing, then stand. For those who love kneeling, find a comfortable position. Kneel on a pillow to avoid physical strain. The goal is to be in a position you can remain in for hours without fatigue. Then balance it with the vigor of your tongues. Most of the time, I minimize vigorous movements if I want to speak in tongues for long. I have lost my voice several times in the middle of speaking in tongues because I raised my voice too high. I only raise my voice if it is necessary and if I have no intention of praying for long afterwards. Listen to how I regulate my voice in my tongue speaking sessions on YouTube. 5. Pick a good time of the day to pray in tongues for long hours. There are times of the day when it is easy to speak in tongues and other times when it is hard. Also, different people operate at their peak at different hours of the day. If you want to pray in tongues for hours, you need first to allocate hours to speaking in tongues. You can't be occupied all through the day and hope to pray for long. If you treat prayer like a day job, then you can do it for long hours like a day job. I quit college just to speak in tongues. That's how seriously I take speaking in tongues. First, we have morning people. I know a number of believers who are committed to waking up very early in the morning to pray. Some wake up at 3 a.m., others at 4 a.m. If waking up early is doable for you, then wake up and pray in tongues in the morning. I don't like waking up early, but I love speaking in tongues as the first activity at whatever time I wake up. Second, we have daytime people. Some believers, mostly those who serve in church, excel at praying during the day. For them, praying is their job. I used to attend a church that had fasting sessions from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. The environment was great for praying and I loved it. Thirdly, we have evening people. The cool of the day comes with a special grace for praying in tongues for long. I have had countless prompts to pray in the evening. At one time, I used to pray for hours in the evening. Mostly it was from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Lastly, we have night people. Night seems to be the easiest time to pray, except for the nagging thoughts of sleep. The silence of the night is great for speaking in tongues. Praying in tongues for long hours. Conclusion. Speaking in tongues for long hours begins with a desire and succeeds with discipline. If you have the desire, you will find it easy to launch deep. Discipline will help you stick to it for long. I believe these tips will help you pray in tongues for long. God bless you.